Level 1. The Page. You are 7 years old. Your mother turns away at the gate before the horse moves because watching you leave is something she has decided she cannot do. Your father stands straight. He is a knight with a small manor and a large debt, and he has arranged for you to serve a lord 3 days' ride north. This is how medieval knighthood works. Boys like you are sent away so that men can be made of them, somewhere they cannot be coddled. The castle swallows you. You sleep on a mat furthest from the fire, and you say nothing about it. You carry the Lord's cups and pour his wine. A wooden sword too heavy for your hands. A master at arms who watches without expression while you fall and get up and fall again. A priest who smells of candle wax teaching you Latin. A lady of the household teaching you courtesy, which is armor made of words. At night, you swallow what you feel because a page who weeps is remembered for the weeping. This is the first skill of medieval knighthood. You are 7 years old, and already you are building walls that will stand for the rest of your life. Level 2. The Squire. You are 14. 7 years have done something to you. The wooden sword is a memory. They have given you steel. You are assigned to Sir Raymond de Bray. He has a long face and quiet eyes that read something on the inside of your skull. He has fought in the Holy Land and does not speak of it unless pressed, and when pressed he says very little, and what he says is nothing like the songs. You clean his armor with sand and vinegar until your hands crack. You feed his destrier, a massive, bad-tempered animal that has tried to bite you more than once. You sharpen his blade to a standard he checks himself with his thumb every single time. He trains you in the yard. Sword, lance, shield, the gaps in a man's medieval armor, and how to put a blade through them. Chivalry is for the songs, he says. Staying alive is for the yard. You go to your first battle at 16 and discover that nobody told you about the mud. You walk the field afterward because that is the squire's duty, and you see what medieval warfare actually looks like when it is finished. You do not sleep for a week. Level 3. The Night Bachelor. You are 21. The night before, you keep a vigil alone in the chapel on cold stone with your sword on the altar. You think about your mother at the gate. In the morning, the Lord touches your shoulders with a blade and says the word. You rise as a knight of the medieval realm. The dubbing ceremony is the easy part. A knight bachelor owns a title and nothing else. No land, no men, no income beyond what the Lord chooses to provide. You are a sword for hire with a noble's manners. You fight in the Lord's wars. The first man you kill looks at you above his spear with the eyes of a man who has just understood something he cannot undo. That night you wait for the feeling you have been told to expect. It does not arrive. The absence of feeling frightens you more than the feeling would have. You take your first prisoner at 23, a knight in good armor worth 40 marks to his family, more silver than your father has held at one time. You begin to understand how a landless medieval knight becomes a landed one. Level 4. The Crusader Knight. The call comes from Rome, the Holy Land, Jerusalem. Every knight in England is being weighed against whether they will go. You go. Isabel does not argue. Your son is 3 years old. You memorize his face before you leave. The crusade to the Holy Land is not what the songs prepared you for. The Mediterranean crossing tests the proposition that God is on the Crusaders' side in ways that feel pointed. The heat of the Holy Land lands on you at Acre as a physical fact you did not know how to anticipate. The Knights Templar operate with an efficiency that impresses you. They have been here for decades. They know the land and the enemy and the mathematics of medieval warfare in this geography. You come home 2 years later with a scar along your left forearm and a silence about Jerusalem that Isabel asks about once and never asks about again. Your son is 5 when you return. He does not recognize you at the gate. This detail from the Crusade stays with you longer than the walls of Jerusalem. Level 5. The Household Knight. You are 28. Lord Godfrey takes you into his household as a sworn knight. You eat at his table, below the salt but at the table. You have a small chamber in the tower. Thomas sleeps in a trundle bed you built yourself, because you told Isabel you would not send the boy away at 7, and you mean it. Your duties expand beyond fighting. You sit in judgment and discover that men will lie to your face about a stolen chicken with the same conviction they would use about a murder. You take a spear through the thigh at a siege when you are 31 and spend 3 weeks in a tent listening to your own fever. The surgeon treats it with boiling wine. You keep your face still because younger men outside the tent are watching for information about what this kind of wound costs. You walk with a limp for the rest of your life. Your body keeps accounts your mind would prefer not to audit. Level 6, the Knight Banneret. You are 36. A battle at a river crossing. The line breaks on your left. You move into the gap. You hold what needs holding, and when the line reforms, it reforms around you. They cut the tail from your pennon on the field and make it square. Knight Banneret. You command men now. 12 knights ride under your banner. The Lord grants you land. A manor with a village, fields, a mill, a wood. You ride to see it, and the villagers line up and bow, and the bowing makes you deeply uncomfortable because you have bowed to enough people in your life to understand the calculation behind it. You manage the village with fairness because you remember the swollen bellies in villages you rode through, collecting dues in lean years. Your steward thinks you are soft. You let him think it. Level 7, the Lord. You are 43. Lord Godfrey dies without sons, and through Isabel's blood and your own decades of service, the holding passes to you. You are no longer a knight with a manor. You are a lord with knights. They kneel where you once knelt. You take their hands between yours. Some of them mean the oath. Some are counting the years until your position can be improved upon. You have learned to tell the difference. Your days are mostly administration, crop yields, rent disputes, water rights. Medieval justice, which includes, on one occasion, hanging a man for a murder that everyone knew he committed, and nobody would confirm until you sat in the court long enough. You miss the clarity of single combat. Medieval lordship has no ending, and the enemies are always smiling. Level 8, the Marshal. You are 52. The king appoints you Marshal of the royal host, 10,000 men. You move wooden markers across parchment maps and calculate supply lines, and the loyalty of allies who support you precisely as long as it costs less than not supporting you. The largest part of medieval war is not battle, it is bread. An army that is not fed is a mob with weapons. You win a significant engagement. The kingdom rings with your name. The truth is that you won because the enemy made an error and the weather held, and a unit on your left that had every reason to fall back did not. You take the credit because a marshal must. Legends are what survivors tell. You happen to be the survivor. Isabel dies the following spring while you are at court. By the time you arrive, there is fresh earth and silence. You stand at the grave. You cannot weep. The hiding of grief is the first skill you learned at 7, and it is so deep now it has become structural. You would give every title you have earned for one more morning at her table. Level 9, the Baron. You are 58. The king elevates you to Baron. You kneel before him and feel the whole length of your life beneath you like a road seen from a height. You sit in the great councils among men of ancient families who look at you with polite eyes and a private conclusion. You have learned to read a hall full of smiling enemies the same way you read a battlefield. The weapons are simply better hidden. Level 10, the Old Lion. You are 68. Most of the boys from that cold hall are decades dead. You did not fall. You endured. That was always your truest weapon. Not the sword, the refusal. A young knight kneels before you tonight, asking your blessing before his first campaign. He speaks of chivalry and glory and the songs they will write. You look at him and see the boy in the chapel with his sword on the altar. You want to tell him everything. You say none of it. You give him your blessing. You send him into the dark you came out of. Somewhere tonight, a boy of 7 is being lifted onto a borrowed horse. He does not look back, because looking back is for children. He has no idea what waits at the top of the ladder he is about to begin climbing. He has no idea the top is just a finer kind of cold. He will figure it out. They always do. The cycle continues.